What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down some big news that just came out for tech involving the EU, what's happening with Tesla's had some downgrades, what's going on with the markets, what you should be watching for going into the market open for today. Before I break into devil's information, let me just say a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And then don't forget about the Moomoo link. The offer ends very soon. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15. Anyways, now let's talk about the market. SPY is showing some weakness exactly as predicted from yesterday. We're seeing the same thing throughout the markets. So we're going to be watching some key levels, some key supports, and etc. Well, let me first talk about some data. So as a reminder, for Monday, it's going to be March 25th. And I just want to remind you all that at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 30 minutes after the market opens, we have new home sales coming out. Might not cause that big of a move as the data is kind of minor, but at 10:30 a.m. we have more significant data coming out. So this is 1 hour after market open. We have the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index. We have Cook from the Fed giving a speech, and then at 11:30 a.m. we have the 3-month and 6-month bill auctions coming out. So watch for some volatility at 10:30 and 11:30 a.m. and we'll see how this affects the markets for now. That's when we have a more significant data coming out. And then on top of this, it's going to be a short week, by the way. The market's going to be closed for Good Friday for this week. We only have 4 days of trading, so let's hope we make the best of it, and we hope we have a good week. As of right now, we saw the S&P 500, the Dow, and many other indices kind of like up a little bit. But we'll see if things change going into the first couple of days of this week. Now, there has been a lot of talk about the EU taking on American tech giants, opening an investigation on Monday into Apple, Alphabet, and Meta. That's some big news. I'll talk more about that in just a minute. Moving forward, there's been a lot of talk about some biotech companies that want to get into the booming weight loss drug market. That's some good news as well for them. There's been a lot of talk about how their treatment methods are a lot more popular, about how they're testing particular drugs that can be used a lot more often. There's been a lot of talk about that. I'm not going to really comment on whether or not that's safe or anything like that, but I just want to say that that's making a lot of headlines. And then over the weekend, President Joe Biden signed a $1.2 trillion spending package, avoiding a government shutdown. That's been decent news. The budget's going to be basically kept to be funded until October 1st. So that's what's happening so far. Now, that's not really affecting the market much. We'll see how things change from here. Apple, Meta, and Google are targeted by the EU in a very, very big non compliance investigation. This has to do with antitrust laws potentially being breached and their opinions. This is going to go on for about 12 months. So we'll see what happens to them for that. And then for Tesla, unfortunately, even though this thing was showing some strength, at least technically speaking, we got some bad news that trumps technicals. Tesla's been downgraded by some big analysts at Mizuho, saying that they're only predicting about 15% growth compared to last year. That's a big downgrade, and they also downgraded their price target on Tesla. Not the best of news. That's part of why Tesla's down. So let's talk about the market. What's going on with the chart so far? Starting with SPY. Okay, SPY has resistance at this 520 area, and we have support at 519 and also at 518. Now, because we're below 520, we lost a critical support, and we're losing support at this yellow trend line. So there's going to be a risk of this coming down to 518. Now, this does not mean I'm a mega bear because, like I said in my earlier video, this white trend line right here showed a nice double bottom, and we're actually holding this uptrend. So as long as we hold this white trend line, there's an uptrend. SPY could go all the way down to the 517s, and we could still be on a big uptrend. So it's not the end of the world. I do anticipate that it might pop a little bit and then start dropping back down to 518, or even drop from here, pull back just a little bit. Not saying it's a big crash, but just a little temporary drop. I do believe there's going to be some downside coming, and then we'll see how the market goes from there. So watch for a little move back down to about 518. For Tesla, because of the downgrade, we're going to be watching resistance at 170. Then we have this gap at 170.7, and 172 is resistance. For support, watch 167.8, followed by 165. Tesla could either kind of pop a little bit, then come back down, or it could just pop here and then start dropping. I do think there's going to be a risk of it coming down to 167.8. So I do see some more risk for downside for Tesla. But what might happen is it may actually pop when we open, kind of push a little bit, then trade within this range right here, 168 to 170 for some time, and if the market starts sinking, Tesla could start to drop down to lower levels. So I do want to mention that there is a risk of Tesla dropping a bit. Could pop and drop first. Watch for some sideways price action in the beginning before we see a move back down. For the triple Q, this is very similar to what we were predicting. I told you guys that the inverse head and shoulders was kind of like a trap set for retail, and there was a risk of this coming down. We're at support right here at 444. If we lose this, and we're going to be coming all the way down to 442, followed by 440, then 438. For resistance, we have this zone right here, 444.8, and we also have 446, 446.8, and 448. On the QQQ, we could pop a little bit, look for a little bit of an attempt for them to grab liquidity. And then there's going to be a risk of it coming down to 442, if not 440. The trend is a little bit more bearish. So we had this high right here, came down, made a lower high, and it could just continue to sink from here. So just be a little bit careful. The chart is looking a bit more bearish, so we'll see how it goes. So watch for that very, very carefully, and there is a risk of some downside. For Aapl, with the new investigation news coming out from the EU, it's not the best of news for it. One thing I want to notice is that Apple's barely at 170.9. That's one of our supports. If we lose this, watch 170. I also have 172.5 as resistance. I would say that right now the chart looks kind of weak. There's a risk of this coming all the way down to about 170 flat. And we could even drop lower. If we lose that, we could be coming down to 169 and 168. I think that Apple's showing weakness this morning, and there's going to be a risk of it dropping a bit more. So it could be getting closer to 170, and it could actually contribute to dragging the markets down. Nvda is showing a little bit of weakness. So one thing I said is that Nvda had this trend line, despite the fact that we have a nice bullish accumulation structure. Overall, it was due to come down a bit because of this sign of strength white coffee in a test, and it could even come down to retest this white trend line. So watch resistance at 944.5 and then 950. Watch support at 930, and then we also have this trend line right here. My gut tells me it may pop and then drop, or kind of like drop from here, and we could see this actually retrace a little bit closer to 930. And that could actually drag the QQQ down a little bit as we're starting to see Nvidia turn a bit. So look for a pop and drop or even a drop from there. Just a couple more. Let's talk about, we have Super Micro. I know a lot of people are still interested in this. Coming down exactly as predicted. So if we continue to sink, we're going to be looking for a move back down towards this 950 area. I do see a risk of that coming. Then eventually we have 925. So it could sink a little bit more. For Microsoft, we're going to be watching. So it fails to hold 930. The level I called it was 924 yesterday. Could pump to 928 to make its way down to 924 or just sink from here. So watch for that. On Amazon had this resistance to be watching for. This could be resembling kind of like an inverse cup and handle. We like to reject off 180. So if we do fail here, we could see a move back down to 176. So just be careful on Amazon. For Meta, with the news that came out about the downgrade, we're kind of flat right now. Watch support around this 504 area. If we lose this, we could come all the way down to 500 and eventually lower levels like 495. So I do see some weakness in the chart right here. We have this imbalance to fill below. So watch for that very, very carefully. Watch resistance around 510. Watch support at 504. If we lose that, we're going to be looking for a bigger drop. That is what I have for this video. Thank you for listening, guys. Have a great day. I'll see you guys in just about an hour and a half from now. And with that being said, have fun with your trading. Watch your levels carefully. Be very patient. And I'll see you guys very soon in about an hour and a half. Thank you for listening. Have a great day and peace out.